day I think of you, looking for some sign that you feel the same way too. And I know you're mine. We can't use no telephone, but others can hear. And all I get is a dial tone, but the message is clear. It's no secret, and it's plain to see. Yes, I love you. I know you love me. It's no secret. You know it's true. You love me. Yeah, I love you. Yes, I do.
Well, hello, Miss Loren. How are you?
I'm so good. I hope you are.
I'm better now. Are you kidding me? I'm here having breakfast with Loren Rittinger of all people. This is absolutely incredible. It's so great to see you.
How are you, honey? It's so good to see you too. I've never used this app, but it's really, really cool, huh?
Yeah, it is a very cool app. And so we got a couple things going on. We are here live on Fireside, Breakfast Champions with Loren Rittinger. We're also live over on YouTube. We're live over on Facebook. And what's cool about the Fireside app is it allows you to do all of those things, connect to all the different platforms all at once. It also lets the audience kind of engage. If anybody's there in the audience wants to say hello, go right ahead.
Hi, how fun is that?
Very cool, right? And this is part of Mark Cuban's baby. Mark Cuban's one of the ones that is helping put this together and trying to create this
I love
all-in-one
that.
platform for creators. Pretty cool, right?
I love it. I love that I can see you. Like it's so different. You know what I mean? It's a
I
good thing that you
agree.
can't see that I'm wearing my pajamas.
Well, that's okay. I was actually supposed to be. Normally, we are in an actual breakfast restaurant. Like I'll go to a breakfast restaurant and we'll do the show that way. But we're in the middle of this little thing called an ice storm here in Kentucky, where you
Oh
don't
my
get snow, you
Lord.
get a bunch of ice. Yeah. So
Are
I'm
you?
like,
I wish I could say, well, I'm glad I can't say the same thing actually. I'm actually in Miami and it's quite beautiful outside.
well, Loren, thanks for rubbing that in. I really, really appreciate it. Especially since I had a flight booked to Miami. I was supposed to go to Miami yesterday morning at 10 a.m., and they canceled all flights in the area for this ice storm, even though it did nothing but rain all day yesterday. No snow, no sleet, no ice until late last night. But I was supposed to be down there in Miami for Elena Cardone and Grant. They've got their
Yeah,
10X Ladies event going on.
that's awesome. Yeah, I wrote to them. Congratulations. I'm sure it'll be a great success. They're great people.
They really are great people. Now, I will say American Airlines does have a flight for me out tonight at 8:30 to come down to Miami. So I think I'm gonna extend my trip
That's
and
awesome.
stay till Monday or Tuesday. Are you gonna be around this
I'm
weekend?
here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here for a minute. Our
You are
big
here for.
convention is coming up in 3 weeks. I'm in full prep.
Okay, cool. Well, we might just have to meet up live and
Yeah,
in
we at least need
person.
a drink late for sure.
That would be Awesome. Now, I don't know though. You might not. Your arm might be a little sore from carrying that rock around that I just saw on your finger right there. I don't know if you're going to be able to go out there physically with that thing.
That's a lot of years with the same man, and a lot of work. Nobody ever tells you, how hard being married is. It's a lot of work. I mean, I've been married for 30 years. So for me, it's more about just the constant work on yourself and each other so you can stay together. It's a constant effort, but a
Let's
good
talk
one.
a little bit. Let's talk a little bit more about that. So the way that we like this show to go, Lauren, just so you know, is I believe some of the best conversations in the world happen over the breakfast table. First thing in the morning, you're with people that you love and care about, and you just have conversations. So as far as like interviews, there's space for interviews and podcasts and all that. And I love all that stuff. But I just want us to have some real deal conversations right here. So talk to me a little bit about this guy that you married 30 years ago, your
Amazing.
boyfriend for
I
life.
mean,
Tell me a little
he's
bit about it.
amazing. He's amazing. I've been married my whole life. I mean, he's amazing. JR is incredible. He's a great visionary. He's, taught me everything I knew. I mean, I met him, when I was literally just turning 18 years old. I mean, he was incredible. He's always been incredible. I've found that men who are geniuses don't use common sense. So everything is a workaround. Everything is like not an easy straight line. It's always a little curvy, but it works. And I've learned to navigate through it all. And we work together really well. I mean, we're incredible partners, best friends, lovers, everything you can think of. And I think when you can do that after 30 years and still like each other, people say,
It's a big deal.
what's the key to success of being married all these years? I think it's the fact that we don't give up. We don't expect each other to be perfect. We don't, we know each other's flaws. We know each other's weaknesses. And I think, when you can capitalize on each other's strengths and stop criticizing each other's weaknesses, it really begins to work. And I think when you really have each other's back, when it comes down to it, he has my back, I have his back. And he's not one of those guys who doesn't want his woman to make it. There's some guys out there who don't want their women to make it. And that's so not cool. So not cool. So he's always been the one like, congratulations on all your success. I'm sure he loves it that I make my own money. I'm sure that all of that makes it work even better. You know what I mean? Because he makes great money and I make great money, and together life's great. So I think, it's just been, we both have great vision and can see things. And he's just been a great mentor to me my whole life. I love him. He's amazing. But it comes with work. Let's face it. I mean, being married, nobody tells you like, you have to take a deep breath every day and say, you're going to turn your head and say, those are the things I don't like. And you just sometimes, I've realized you just sometimes have to get over those things you don't like. Like, I can assure you, we actually just moved out of our home that we've lived in our whole 22 years for a renovation that we're doing. And we bought an apartment in downtown Miami, which I've never lived in an apartment, but I love it. I don't know why I'm doing this renovation because I'm not sure I ever will leave this place. But we bought this beautiful penthouse up at the new Zaha Hadid building. We love it. And you can be sure that, I have 3 grandchildren that run around this place. They do not do anything wrong. If they spill something up, they pick it up. My husband, there's chocolate all over the place already. Chocolate stains on everything, ink stains, marker stains. And I'm like, bro, just go sit at the table. You know what I mean? Like there's a different space. Every day he decides he wants to leave a marker stain on. And I'm like, at some point you just got to turn your head and know your house going to be marked up. Do you know what I mean? So we
That's
just
it.
get through it. But we have a great relationship. Can't you
I
tell?
love that. I can tell. I really can tell. I can tell that you guys have fun, and that's what's really cool about it. And I think you're right. Like, we stand up there and we at our wedding, right? We stand there and it's all fancy and we got the dress and
Mine was
everything's perfect, right? Everything's
mine
beautiful.
was with a bunch of strangers and we eloped. So we didn't have the
There
fancy
you
wedding.
go. There
We
you
gave our
go.
daughter the fancy wedding. We didn't do that. And I don't regret it actually at all.
That's awesome. Well, you're gonna have to tell me more about that. But I do know that in that moment, they make us go through this thing, Lauren, where we have to say, for richer, for poorer, for better, for worse, till death do us part. And I think that people have gotten so used to hearing that they don't really realize what you're committing to. Like that's a big deal.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I don't think people really understand. Like, we have to like get proper training before we get a driver's license. I mean, but
Right.
nobody gives us the proper training before we get married. We just go
Right.
get a license, we're done. And I think, my mother always told me that, be careful what you're looking for, because what you think may be wrong in your marriage and you think that somebody else's marriage is working, you could be wrong. A lot of people disguise what things really look like. And I'd rather have something that I know what I'm dealing with. I know how to navigate it. And as long as somebody's a good person, and my husband has such a great heart and so full of love, and he's the person I've looked up to my whole life, has always been there for me. And for my family, I can't imagine, life without him, except on some days, on the days you want to just kill him that day. But
Like y-
it's
like
just,
yesterday, my
I think
yesterday my wife was like, "Are you going to Miami or what? Like, can you get out of here? Can you go to Miami?"
I fully appreciate your wife and understand it. Like, my husband wanted to go skiing last week. I was like, you should go. You should
Right.
definitely go. You should definitely go, and I should definitely stay behind her. There's far too much and it worked out just fine. And I find that, it's okay to take mental vacations from each other too, because I do that with life. I mean, sometimes you have to take a mental vacation from anyone who's, or everything that's disrupting your moment or your peace or what you're trying to achieve. Like, I'm on a mission right now because, our conference is coming up in 3 weeks, and you can't really let anything come between you and your thoughts, so you can really prepare your mind mentally and physically for what you gotta, what people expect from you. And I feel like, in life, we have to take those breaks from the things that aren't good for us, those mental vacations from things I'm going to check out, And it's like when I was growing up and trying to make it, I think, even my father, and sometimes it's the people you love, even my father was like, oh, you're never going to make it, Loren. Because, when I met JR, he was poor, I was poor. And he was like, in order to get where we had to go, we had to take a lot of mental vacations from people and check out and not listen to people. The naysayers couldn't exist for us because you would never make it.
Right.
And I feel like
They're
I
everywhere.
think that's a constant key to success, to eliminate those people from your life and, fly on your own and understand that being successful sometimes means really different and being alone sometimes.
Yeah, I love it, Lauren. And I want to learn a little bit more about your conference here shortly. But first, my brain is still trying to do the math. I'm still trying to figure out how a woman who can't be a day over 35 years old has been married for 30 years
I love
with
you.
grandkids. I'm still
I,
trying to figure that out. The
I
math's not
love you.
working for me.
I have really good skincare products under my name, and I take really good care of my skin. But, I live in South Florida, and there's humidity in Miami. And I never forget, my dermatologist told me years ago, he said, if you want to stay young forever, live in the humidity. And since
Mm,
that time, I never left.
wow. Now, where did you grow up?
I was born in New York City, and I lived pretty much I was in North Carolina for a
I
short
hear
period
it
of time.
just a little bit in the
A little
back
bit.
of your accent. I hear a little
Yes,
bit of that, New York.
I grew up in North Carolina some after I left New York. So I was there from like, I don't, seventh grade to my graduating year when I met my husband. And he was much older, he was 20 years ahead of me. And, I just looked up to him. But I was in North
He's
Carolina.
20 years older, so you were 20,
Yes.
he was 40. Is that right? Somewhere around there?
Yeah, when I was 18, he was
Wow.
38. My parents didn't like that at the time.
Yeah, my wife's 9 years younger than me, and her parents did not like that. She was 21 when we got together. So
Yeah,
yeah, I get it.
I didn't like that, but it was okay. We got through it really quick because he's, like I said, he's a love. But I think I was there from that seventh grade to till the year I graduated, and then I didn't go back. But the company's still based in North Carolina, and I think once you get that accent, you never really lose it. But
Right.
It's there. I know it exists. You know, it's in there.
There's
I've
no
been in
doubt that
Florida
exists.
most of my life now.
That's awesome. So you've got a big event coming in 3 weeks. I
Yeah.
want to know all about it. What do you got going on?
Well, that's just our company. We do two major events in the United States a year. And so this one is one of our biggest ones that we do in Miami. And it'll be a
Okay.
hybrid. So, you know, we're all adjusting to this new way of living. Normally, we have about 20,000 people in person every year. This is almost our 30th anniversary, which
Wow.
happens in August. And so it's just all of our top people who come together and learn about what, you know, this year's initiatives hold and what our mission is for this year. And we educate them, teach them, inspire them, irritate them, you know, to go make it happen.
So talk to me about that a little bit further. You said all of your like top people, and you normally have
Yeah.
20,000
Yeah.
people. So how many people are within your ranks?
Oh, well, we have about 180,000 all worldwide and about 6 million
Wow.
customers. So, you know, we don't have any convention centers for 180,000 people. So it's more so an invitation only thing. But it's such a great event.
180,000 people that are growing, thriving, and living within the ecosystem that you and your husband have
Yeah,
created.
shop.com has been an incredible source for a way for people to actually, you know, when we started Market America Shop.com, 1992, you know, nobody was thinking about the internet. I mean, that's the
Yep.
last thing, you know, we were thinking about, hey, there's going to be a time when people shop online. And, you
Right.
know, I came
What
across
made you think that? What made you think
I,
that?
I just knew that there was no way the internet was not going to make it. You know, at that time, people had dial up. If we were lucky, if somebody had a computer in their home.
Right.
And in 92 was the same year, of course, that Amazon had started as well. And I think that, you know, the thought of being able to buy clothes and shoes online, although might have seemed preposterous to others, was clearly in our vision. It's all we focused on, all we thought about. You know, we used to call people up. Back in the day, we used to call people up and say, hey, we're going to have this online business and, you know, we hope you'll sell us your products. And they would be like, yeah, hold on, hold for tone, you know, and hang up the phone on you. And now, of course, today, you know, we have thousands of submissions every month and we only pick maybe one or two. And
Really?
yeah, and so, you know, I think the world has changed so much. And it's always so funny. I always say everybody either wants to be in the internet business or in the beauty business. They're trying to start a cosmetic company or they're trying to do an internet company. And I think the most important thing, even 30 years later, as this is my 30-year anniversary doing this, I just remind myself that we cannot lose touch with who the customers are, because that's really what makes a business thrive and successful. So for me, it's always about the customer and how we can improve their experience, what we can do to make their experience better, whether it be purchasing, returns, you know, the whole 360. And so I always say we don't have to be number one like Amazon, but we're number 54 worldwide. Really proud of where we come over the last 30
Incredible.
years. And it's incredible, you know, when I think about all the blood, sweat, and tears that we've had to endure, all the no's, and all the people I stopped being friends with along the way, you
Yep.
know,
Sometimes that happens,
that
right?
happens. And you know that, Glenn. I mean, Glenn, I love your story and I love what you've endured. And I think when you go through a lot of pain, then, you know, somebody can't take that away from you. It's a real lesson, it's a real education. And I think, you know, that's why I'm really proud of who we are today, what we are, what we've accomplished, and you know, what the next mission is. You know, I still have another couple Super Bowls left. So
Yeah, yeah. And
I'm
I want
going.
to get into those. I want to make sure everybody has a good understanding of this. So it's 92. You're like, the internet's probably going to be a thing. We're going to sell clothes. We're going to sell some shoes. And then like, what's the formula now? So you have 180,000 people.
Yeah.
People submit submissions of things they want to sell on shop.com. Is that right? And then you
We
guys
don't
go
really,
through.
yeah. We don't pick trendy products. We pick what people want and need. So, you know, I often say, like in the pandemic, our business has grown 20% because we really identify what people want and need, and we make sure we don't mark up the prices. We make sure people are buying it at the price, not the, you know, you can't go anywhere today and not be raped for something. I
Right,
mean, you know, you go
right.
buy a car, you're paying 20% over sticker.
Yeah.
So
I'm from the car
it's,
industry, so I hide
but you
my
know what I'm
face.
saying? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't understand. It's like, well, in today's, if you want to have your house, have your rug steam cleaned, it's twice as much today than it was before the pandemic. And it
Totally.
confuses me because I feel like that's not what customers want. That's not how we should be treating them. And I feel like that's how we've stayed consistent, which is being true to who we are, what we started with, who we are. And I've always thought that that's, the best philosophy. And we've always been a big believer in health and nutrition products. Our products are really started with health and nutrition because people spend money taking care of themselves. They want to look better. They want to feel better. Everybody wants to have no wrinkles, stay young forever, look better, be healthier. And I feel like in the last 20 years, we're more aware of how we treat ourselves, our bodies. We
I
don't
agree.
torture
Yeah.
ourselves. The things that we did in high school, we probably wouldn't catch many people doing today.
That's a fact.
We tortured ourselves.
That is a
And,
fact.
and it wasn't the smartest thing to do. So I think, we are at a time and a place where people are more aware, that they are more concerned. And we've been able to, help them and capitalize on that. And I think, that's the best of both worlds when you're giving people products that they really want and need, and they can sell those products to other people. And it's
So
really
the
a formula that,
model, the business has evolved obviously over the years. Technologies have changed, have expanded, massive, 180,000 people, 6 million customers. Is the concept the same today as it was in 92, or has the concept like changed? Like, is it, in 92, you're like, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it. And is that still basically what you're doing now, just a more modernized version? Or did you
yeah,
change
and we pretty
concepts
much
somewhere along the way?
we've stayed true. One of the things my husband has always
Amazing.
taught us, I think one of the things that JR's always taught us is, don't forget where you came from. You may not be able to find your way home. And so we've really stayed true to what our philosophy is, how we started, taking care of the customer, identifying on a one-to-one basis. And that's what those 180,000 people do. They collect information and data and they find out what people want, their customers want, and then they bring that to us and we make it. And it works out, and it's still the same formula today. Of course, it's just a lot more advanced, more technology, more people. It takes a lot to move it, and I think the biggest thing is competition's tight in the internet world, so you really have to be on top of your game. It's not just about going to open up a Shopify business, although that can work for some people. I think it's really understanding, what the product is, what your niche market is, what it is about your product that's special, and how can others identify with it. And then how can you treat that person? Like for me, a big thing for 2022 is returns. I want returns to be really easy for customers. I want it to be a simple process. Nobody ever wants to think about returns because nobody wants a return. But truth be known is you have to think about it all. And I want it to be simple. And I think about COVID and I think about, how easy the process needs to be for people. So for me, I always want to do like, an easier way to communicate, a faster way for returns, without hurting them or the company, because you have to have a financially strong company as well. And so I think
Sure.
it's a constant stay on top of your game because there's a lot of competition out there.
How do you communicate with 180,000 people? How do you keep them, like, how do you keep the culture and the essence of what you guys do? I ran a team of 300 people, and it was daily work, making sure that the culture was, what we were anticipating. Breakfast with Champions on Clubhouse blew up to 100 and something thousand people. And there's been some cracks. I've been like, dang, it's tough to keep all the things pointed in the right direction once we start to expand to all these people and communicating and responding to DMs and all of this stuff, and people making sure that everybody feels seen, heard, and significant has gotten much more difficult in this season for me, if I'm just being vulnerable and authentic. And so I'm curious, how do you
I think you have
communicate
it.
well?
I think you've done it, Glenn. I mean, for me, it's the two V's. It's being your voice and being visual, and I think it's really important for me to be seen and be heard and to communicate because, I really do understand. I've come from nothing. I came from an incredible mom and dad, and my dad was really tough, but my mom was really incredibly soft and loving and kind, and, always communicated well with me and always told me, Lauren, you're going to be something special one day, but you need to use your voice. You need to make sure that you communicate with people the way they need to be heard and seen. And I always make sure, like when I'm talking to somebody, I always say, I give them 100% of me. I shut down. If this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to do it with all I got. And I feel like, we do that. You do that with Breakfast with Champions when you did it on Clubhouse. It was the most exciting show of the day. And I'd always catch you on my last hour because God knows you wake up so much earlier than me because I'm going to bed. I go to bed when you wake up. You know what I mean? I work
Right,
till 4
right.
o'clock every day. And I can't sleep. So for me, I would love to always catch Glenn's last hour. And I think you do it well. I think the voice and the visual is so important. So, I do a lot of FaceTime lives. I do a lot of communication with Zoom with my team. And I also make sure that everything I do throughout the year with them, whether it be this event coming up, and I also do, another one in August and 2 in Asia every year, that they're the most impactful moments and communication that I can have with people. And I really kind of wear my heart on my sleeve. There's no holdback for me. I share everything I've ever been through, why it works for me, and why you can use whatever it is that you're going through to get you where you want to be. And I'm living proof that you can accomplish anything you want, and put your mind to it, put your head to it. If I was hungry, I was tired of starving. I was hungry. And I don't mean, really with food. I was hungry. I was driven. I wanted my mom to have a better life. I wanted myself to have a better life. I wanted my brothers and sisters to have a better life, my family to have a better life. And I felt like they deserved it. And I felt like if I didn't do anything about it myself, nothing would change. I just happened to be lucky that all of my brothers and sisters were motivated like I was. So we all joined together to start our business 30 years ago. And I think that it was life-changing. And I was sad, my mom passed away at the age of 42, the first year we started our company, of a massive heart attack. I was heartbroken. It destroyed me because she was, the glue, as many call in the family. She was the glue in mine, for sure. And, I didn't know how I could go on or exist, and I had just had my daughter. She was, 4 months old. I was, 20. I was a baby. And I was like, what am I going to do? I can't afford a babysitter. Can't afford, we brought her to work every day, put her in a playpen. Myself, my husband, my brother, we took turns around the office watching her, whoever didn't have a meeting. We did what we had to do. And when I go back and I think about those days, I wouldn't change a thing about it because I think it's what's made me who I am today. Not
That's what made you tough.
makes you tough. And that, Glenn, you've had that story that resonates with me. I wrote you about it when I listened to your whole story about how inspiring that is, that somebody can have, you can kind of get in a self-destructive mode when you don't mean to, and it happens, right? And then
Yeah.
we don't know how to pull ourselves out of it sometimes. And the pity party that we hold for ourselves can get so sad that we don't know how to fix it, instead of just fixing it. And people like you and me, well, we just get up and fix it. You just say, it's
Right.
time's up. I'm over this. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to take a mental vacation from all the people who are bringing me down. If you've been cut out of my life, if you've handed me the scissors, I've got to move on, and I've got to do something for me. And I think that's important because I think we don't take that time to really appreciate our efforts and what we can do. And most of the time it's our own belief that gets in the way from us, stopping us from what we really should be doing and can do and are very capable.
It's really an inside job, right? It's an inside job. No one else is going to get you there. And at the same time, same token, no one else can keep you from getting there if you really, really desire it, right? Like, and I think that we do both sometimes. I think sometimes we believe that we need someone else to unlock a door, create, give us an opportunity, whatever. We need their assurance, we need their agreement, right? We need those things. And then on the other side, we can also play the victim role where we feel like someone's in the way. They're keeping us from really what we're wanting to achieve. And I think you're spot on. You just have to dig deep down inside and just make a decision. Like, I'm done with this. I'm no longer doing that.
Yeah, and I
Period.
think you're right. I think you're right. I think it's a real conscious decision, and people say, well, how do you do it? You just do it. There is no ifs, buts, or ands. Like when I'm committed to doing something, nothing stops me. I always tell everybody, get out of my way this month. I'm busy. Get out of my way. You don't want to be in my way this month because I'm going to do everything I need to do to get where I want to be. I have a goal to hit. I'm going to hit it. Don't be in my way. Either join me or don't join me, but you can't be in the way. And people understand it and they respect it. When you've put that in your mind, nothing can stop you. And I think it's hard because we hurt ourselves more. We hurt ourselves more. And, I remember my father when I was graduating high school, he used to say, oh, Loren, you're not going to be able to be as successful as you want. So you might as well just go do this or that. And I used to think, he's like, you think you're going to live in Disney World and live in the best house one day and the best buildings and have the best life. And when I made it, I wanted him to come see it so bad because I wanted to validate my worth. But then I realized it wasn't about me. It was never about me.
Right.
So it was about, I was so affected by what other people thought that I proved them wrong. And instead, what you really need to do is do whatever it takes to believe in yourself. And for me, that was shutting a lot of people out of my life. And when I say, I love my dad. I always had a great relationship. He died young too, but I always had a great relationship with him. But I felt the incredible need to prove him wrong. But I did it for me. And I've learned that when you do things for you, everything comes together. Like I wanted to have a great marriage. I wanted to be a great mother. I want to be a great grandmother. I mean, my grandkids came home yesterday for the first time. I hadn't seen them in 3 weeks, and they practically pushed me down to the ground and jumped on top of me to see me. And of course, it's the love of my life, like to do this all over again and to, my daughter always is like, Mom, please, no more toys, no more gifts. We can't keep up with all this stuff. But for me, that's my prerogative now. Because I've worked really hard.
That's right. Your grandma.
And to do this. And this is the part I love doing. And I think that you have to get out of your own way. You have to sometimes get out of your own way and say, you know what? I deserve this. I deserve to be exactly where I want to be. I deserve to earn because I'm worth it. I deserve to do the things I want to do because I have the desire to do that. But then that takes action. And Glenn, like I do, you can't stop. Like you have to take a massive amount of action in order to get where you want to be.
No.
And there's nothing that stops me from doing that. That's what I put ahead of things. But let me tell you something. I always tell everybody, look, I wanted to be at the cheerleading games, and I wanted to be at, all the kids' events that they had going on. And sometimes I had to miss them in order to make it. But I guarantee you, I didn't miss the most important ones. And it's because I did make it that I was able to achieve and create the lifestyle I want to live.
Amen. Yeah.
And that's important, right? I mean, you have to be able to do that. So I believe that you have to set the standard. You have to be the one to make way and just say, you know what? Nothing's going to stop me. Nothing's going to hold me back. We're in this together, and the other thing I do really well, like, is if I'm not, I notice that sometimes we think out loud and sometimes we have to think within because we hurt people's feelings or we say things that aren't appropriate because we haven't really thought about them. So we have to sometimes not think by using our mouth and think with using our heads. And so if I'm trying to communicate something to somebody that misses it, I'll often write them a letter and try to explain myself because I think we lack that communication anymore. We just take advantage of text and things. And I'll just write them a short little letter just saying, I just want to let you know, this is what I'm this is my point, and I don't want you to miss it, and I don't want to miss your point. So if we're not communicating well, I want you to know, I want you to be able to look back at this letter and see what I'm trying to say to you so you can understand it, so you don't feel bad, because the last thing I want to do is make someone feel bad. I'm trying to get them to understand it. And so we become poor communicators with technology. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
And that's why I love
really powerful what you're saying.
I love that
right now. I love that.
I love that you're here. I love that you're committed to your audience and your friends and all the people to get people to think bigger and be bigger. And, you know, Breakfast with Champions is it's an inspiring message. It's something people don't know who haven't come over from Clubhouse with you. You've been doing this for some time and you inspire a lot of people and you bring on a lot of inspiring people, but your story is mind-blowing, you know, and people really relate, Glenn, to somebody who's been through it all and has really done a 360 in their entire life. And I love you for that. I think you're awesome.
Thank you, Loren. I think you are awesome. And the fact that you take the time to slow down and really share what you're trying to communicate from your heart is a rare and powerful trait. It's so rare in today's day and age. So I love that you do that. I want to go back just a little bit to your father. As a parent, as you know, I have
You have a
this
lot.
many
You
babies.
got the Brady
Don't
Bunch.
put them all on the screen.
I love that.
I
You
got
got more than the Brady Bunch.
Yes, I got 8 babies, and I feel like, and maybe this is just my experience, but I feel like parents, like initially, inherently, we want our children to grow, thrive, evolve, be the best versions of themselves. Like I feel like we want that. But you mentioned that your father would tell you, you know, that you couldn't, you shouldn't, you won't. And I'm curious, have you explored, like, what do you think happened maybe in his life, or why
Yeah,
was it that he wanted to diminish when, to me, it just feels like as a parent you would want to encourage and lift?
I think it's a great question, and I think people often give all they have or all they've been given.
Hmm.
And so I'm not mad at him because when I did make it big, he did come see how I lived and he was always so proud of me after the fact, of course. Where
Right.
my mom used to tell me all the time when I was young, you know, and I recall when I was 16, she would tell me like, Lauren, you're going to be somebody special one day. You have a way with people. You're going to be able to communicate with people. You're going to change the world one day. And I used to think, wow, she's awesome. I want to talk like that to my children. My dad he was that one who was just the one who wanted to bring you back down to what he thought was realistic. And I used to think, gosh, why does he do that? You know what I mean? And I think it's because it was all he was ever given. Not that his parents weren't great, because I loved him to death, but they just gave him all they could give. And I think there was a different time and a different land and a different era where people didn't think outside the box, you know, and they didn't think big. And I also think, I think he grew up in a much tougher life than I did, and it was much harder. And so I never punished him. I never held it against him. I never was angry at him for making me feel like that, because I convinced myself I was better than that. But I can see how it can affect other people. If it was somebody else, you know, it could have affected them greatly. I'm grateful that my brothers and sisters didn't take that to heart and didn't use that as an excuse, something
Right.
to bring them down. But when I did make it, you
Talk
know,
to me about that real quick. How do you know what you said that earlier too? You said when I made it, and I thought, what does that
for me,
define that? How do you
everything is
know
different, right? There's
what's the
different
moment where you know you made it?
I think it's different stages. I mean, for me, I think when I made it is when I walked down, we had bought this home. It was 22 years ago. We still own it. We're renovating it right now. But we bought it 22 years ago. And my husband kept seeing this home on North Bay Road in Miami. And, you know, it's like Millionaire's Row, you know, and the house at the time, Glenn, I think it sold for the most expensive house in 1998. It was like $5.4 million in Miami. And at that time, though, the
Back
house,
24 years ago. That's a
yeah,
big deal.
so, okay, and now at that time, the house was listed for $11.5 million. And I remember saying to my husband, we cannot buy a house for $11 million. We don't have $11 million. And keep in mind, I'm the spender, not the saver. He's the saver guy.
All right.
But like, we cannot buy this house. We cannot afford this house. It cannot happen. And we were getting ready to buy this other house. But he goes, well, I don't know, Lauren, this house, they call it Casa de Sueños. That's House of Dreams in Spanish. And I said, I know, but we just can't afford it. And he said, well, and we were getting ready to close on another house the next day. which was much more within our means. And he said, well, let's just make an offer on this. I was like, we're getting ready to close on a house tomorrow. He goes, it doesn't matter, we haven't closed yet, just make an offer on it. I love this house, Loren, please. So I was like, if he loves the house that much, then maybe it's meant to be. We made this ridiculous offer of less than half, and
Right.
and more than half actually, and we got it. And when I walked down that staircase, and it's incredible. It's a historic home in Miami, and it's beautiful. It's on 700 feet of water in Miami Beach. I mean, there's nothing has that. You know, in Miami, it's the largest waterfront in Miami Beach. And when I come down the stairs, still to this day, I realize what a lucky girl I am, and what a hardworking girl I've been. And how much I appreciate the work that I've put into living. And I still walk down that staircase in a fantasy, in a fairy tale, 22 years later, saying to myself, I still can't believe this is my home. I still can't believe I live here. I still can't believe this is mine. And there's not a day that goes by. I never take for granted what I have, because I know that I've had a lot of friends have a lot and lose it tomorrow. And so my goal is residual, to take care of everything today, you know, so I can leave a legacy behind, and take advantage of making sure that I give my children enough knowledge and education so they can take care of themselves and fence for themselves, but not having to rely necessarily on somebody else. Because you said that earlier. You said, you know, we often love other people more than we love ourselves. And I found, you know, Jennifer Lopez has been my best friend for as long as I can remember. And she bought me a ring, I guess, when she and Mark were going through a divorce, you know, many years ago. And it said, I love me. And there was 4 of us in our little circle. And we wear that ring all the time. It says, I love me, because it's a strong reminder that loving yourself is the most important thing you can do. And you have to do that before you can love anyone else.
No doubt.
And so I think it's really important. And I think I've been so blessed to realize, like I say, you know, luck's involved with everything a little bit. But for me,
a little bit of timing, a little bit of luck here and there.
Luck, timing, hard work, passion, dedication, commitment. And most people never keep commitments to themselves. That's the thing I've learned about people. As I talk to people, and I meet so many thousands of people every year, and people want to make a difference, they want to make a change. But the only thing they commit to is breaking the commitment to themselves. And it's heartbreaking to me, because I'm like, don't throw in the towel yet. You're right there. You know, when you think you're going to fail is when success is getting ready to happen. When you have failed and everything else has failed you, tie a knot at the end of the rope and hold on.
Amen.
Don't throw in the towel. Hold on. That's when your life will change. And you know that. You know, if you just don't quit, it's all the difference in the world. You know, it's all the difference in the world. And I like to think now that, you know, my daughter is now going to be 30 years old this year, and she's had her own products within our company for the last 5 years. And she's now become officially me. Like, I'm officially her mom. I'm officially her mom, because everything she's touching is turning to gold, like it used to happen. I mean, it doesn't used to, it still happens, but
I know what you
everything she touches turns to gold, and nothing makes me more proud.
Yes.
You know, I'm duplicating myself, you know, and that's what it's about. And we've done that with literally thousands of people across the world. And I think when you can have that impact on somebody, I never get, you know, some people work for, you know, money to start. For me, now I'm past that point, because I truly believe there's only so much money you can make. I believe that I work for psychic income, which is the letter from somebody that says my life has changed, you know, because of you and the company, or something you said. Or, you know, sometimes I'll get letters from women who, you know, just say, I finally left my marriage because I was in an abusive relationship for a long time, you know. And I tell those women, like, it's time for you to pack it up. You keep calling yourself the victim, but for as long as you stay, you can't change things. And, you know, I think when somebody finally just says, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, is when it happens. Nobody needs to be motivated. They need to be irritated to do something, right?
Ooh, Loren's over here dropping it. I love that. No one needs to be motivated. They need to be irritated.
Oh,
Yes.
nothing ever got me excited. I got sick and tired of being sick and tired, Glenn. So did you. We get sick
Yep.
and tired of being in the same vicious circle, the same vicious cycle. Nothing changes. And we say to ourselves, I'm done. I'm breaking free. I'm cutting the cord. The chains are going to be taken off. I'm finished. I'm free. And, we often hear that, the, the biggest prison is the one that's in our mind. It's the one that we keep ourselves locked in. And, all we have to do is break free of that. We have to make a conscious decision that I'm not going to do this anymore, that I'm over it, that things will change, that I will change. I will be responsible for my future. And I feel like when we do that, everything happens. The world starts to change, things start to shift. It's just putting it out there in the universe, but then you got to put some massive action behind it. You can't be afraid of hard work. Let me tell you something, in the beginning days, and I still am very similar to this today because I'm not a good sleeper, but you will sleep when you're dead. You will. So you
No
need to
doubt.
work while you're alive. You know what I mean? You need to put
I
it in
agree.
it. Glenn, you know what it's like. You were getting up 3 o'clock in the morning to host your shows, still putting it in at work, doing what you have to do in order to be successful. Most people are afraid of that. They're not going to do it. For me, it's like, okay, I'll sleep in 3 days when I need to. You know what I mean? I'm going to keep going till I got to get there. So less movies with the friends, less parties, less dinners, and more of what you need to do in order to make it happen. And some people, as you know, are not willing to commit to doing that.
That's a fact.
It's a
That's a
fact.
fact. You said you're still working until like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
You're doing work now. Looking from the outside, or maybe from a little bit different mindset and perspective, right? What I always heard, kind of growing up, is we want to make enough money to retire. I want to just be able to sit at the end of the pier and go fishing every day. I want to, so on and so forth. And when I hear those things, now that I've gotten, I now have elevated relationships, I guess is the best way to describe it. And when I get around people that are financially successful, I find that none of them desire those things. It seems like they work even harder now than they did on the way up. And so, talk to me about why you don't stop now. Why don't you just play with the grandbabies, roll around in piles of money, and hang out with J Lo? Like, what are
Yeah.
you doing working till 4 in the morning?
It's crazy. I have no desire to retire. My husband has no desire to retire. And I'm afraid of that, actually. I'm afraid of that because I've often had friends who have retired earlier and they're just not the same.
I think you don't have any desire though. Like, why don't you have a desire? And
I'm
some
not
people do.
finished. I'm not finished. Like, I'm not finished yet. Like, my work's not done yet. I know that my work is not complete. I want to make sure that, I have certain goals that I really want to hit. I want to see certain people
Well,
make it and watch their
what's the goal?
rise. I
Share
want to
one with
help.
me.
What's that?
Like what? Share one with me. What's one of those goals that you got there?
Well, I want to be around and make it happen. I want to hit $5 billion. We've hit $1 billion a year. We're doing about $1 billion a year retail in sales, and I want to watch us hit 5 billion. And I know what it takes. It's much harder to get to 1 billion than it is 5 billion.
Yeah.
And I want to do it. And so I believe I've already done the hard part. That's getting to $1 billion in sales in a year. And for me, I want to do 5. And I think that we've already taken the hard road, and now I'm going to see this through. And there's certain things that have to happen. And I want to open up 5 more countries. And once I do that, if I'm 90 or 70 or 60, then I'm going to probably want to go visit those places and celebrate with them. And I just feel like it's not in my heart or my mind. I'm still I don't care about money. I care not anymore. I mean, everybody cares about money at some point. You need it to survive, right? But I care about people I know who can make it, making it. I care about, making sure people see the real, true potential inside themselves, a lot like you do. I care about, and that's why I say some people work for psychic income. A lot of what you do is psychic income. And, you're not getting paid enough to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning or right now to do this, right? But you do it because you hope that it impacts just one.
That's right.
And so until that work feels completely full and satisfying, I'm not going to stop. I just have no desire to stop. In fact, I thrive on seeing my daughter make it. I thrive on seeing and hearing what my grandkids want to do. They've been racing horses, learning how to ride horses and race horses recently. And they've been doing it for the last year. And I went 2 weeks ago. He said, Mimi, I'm racing horses in Wellington for the first time. It's my first race. And I probably won't even place, but I hope that you'll get up at 5:30 to come. And I said, well, just so you understand, the fact that you're racing one of 13 kids is a big feat in itself. You've already won.
Right.
Already won. But if you place, that's just icing on the cake. But you've already won by getting here. So, but if you believe you can't place, then you won't.
Right.
Here's the thing. Whatever happens today, you're great. No matter what, you're great. But here's the thing. If you believe you'll place, you will. And he came home with the first place medal.
Wow.
And I was so proud of him. And after the horse race in Wellington, he said to me, Mimi, you were right. I never expected a place. But when you said that to me, I got in the car and I said to myself, I can win first place. I can win first place. And he said, I got it. I got a blue ribbon and a red ribbon. And I can't believe it. And it just hit me. And we didn't always grow up with that type of conversation. It was much harder. It was more like I told you, you won't make it.
Right.
And like you, Glenn, I want all my kids to know you're not only as good as me, you'll be better than me, a lot better than me. And I want you to know that what I did is just the beginning of what you can do. It's just I didn't get to do it all. And I often say to myself, I guess, the thing I don't have regrets, and by the time I was, 25, I was already, very successful. But I often say, I wish I knew today. I wish I knew when I was 18 what I know today. And, I punished myself for it, which is crazy because it only took me a few years to get there. But, time is what's against us. Time is what is against us. And, this past October, I lost one of my business partners who's been my business partner, like my brother for 30 years. He was with the NFL for a long time, one of the healthiest guys on the planet, would have never expected it. Had a massive heart attack in October, and it was a big eye-opener for me to realize that, we can control a lot of things, but we can't control time.
Right.
And time is the one thing that we all want more of. Everybody says they want more money. I want more time. And I want more time. I want to have more time with my family, with my friends, with the things I love to do, with my business. Because if you love what you do, you're never really, that's true when they say you're not really working if you love what you do. And for me, I don't want the time to run out. The problem is nobody knows when your clock runs out. We don't get that notice. Hey, Glenn. Hey, Loren, it's your turn next Tuesday. Nobody tells you that. And so I just want to make sure that whatever I do today is going to make a difference for somebody tomorrow because I want them to remember that. I want them to remember that. And that's I think, how I live my whole life.
Loren, I love it. You're such a special person. Like at one point when you were talking about your babies, I started to tear up just a little bit. I'm an emotional dude. I tear
Me
up
too.
when people are like in their zone of genius, like when they're doing the thing. Like if I'm watching American Idol or something and somebody just has that
I'm a
breakout performance.
I'm sobbing.
I can't help it.
I
But
cry
I see so
at
much
everything.
joy. I do too. But I see so much joy as you're talking about the grandkids and the kids and
I think it's
the
a
life
life
that you've been
changer.
able to help elevate for them. It's amazing.
I think it's like that thing that you worked your whole life for, that thing called legacy,
That's it.
And that's what I'm focused on. I'm focused on legacy, and not for just me and my family, for people to realize that they can have the same thing for their family. And I think, as I said, that clock, I keep a big clock by me everywhere because I want to remind myself that we got no control over that. And I keep an hourglass always in my house because I want to remind myself how fast a minute goes by. And it's a harsh reality of true life. You know, we all take advantage. I always say, don't go to bed. I never go to bed mad. That was one of my mom's rules. Never go to bed mad at the people you love. And I never have. If we are in the biggest fight, I will pick up the phone at the end of the night and say, I love you, I'm sorry. I'll tell my husband,
Right.
I love you, and I'm sorry. Let's forgive, let's forget. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. I don't know what tomorrow will bring. But I want you to know I don't love anything more than I love you in my life. And I tell everybody in my family that every single day, and all the people I love, because I think we don't say it enough. You know, sometimes it's just words, and I don't want it to be just words. I want people to feel it. You know, I fight for my family and my friends all the time. If somebody says something that makes somebody feel bad, I'm the first. It just happened to me this week on Tuesday. I had somebody made somebody who I love very much, made them feel bad, and I got on the phone, I said, I want you to understand, when you put that in somebody's mind, what you're doing to them. You don't need to make people feel bad. Don't need to do that. There's different ways of doing things, or making people feel insignificant is really bothers me. I suffer with that because I don't want to see it happen. It happens to too many people. And I think, you know, if we can be better and remind ourselves that we don't know what somebody else's struggle is. And that's why I never got mad at my dad. Never got mad at my dad, because I realized I don't know what his struggle was. I think he had his own struggles. I think he gave me all he ever had.
Right.
You know, and I took it. And so I want to give more than that. I want to do more than that.
I love it, Loren. And I think you touched on something earlier. You said, you know, when we love what we do, it's not work anymore. And I think that what I've discovered is those that are have this desire for retirement, it's because they're not doing what they love, that they're not in their element, right? And so I think it's really key that you are doing the purpose filled work. Then you won't have that desire to go sit fishing and watching Netflix for the rest of your life. You'll just want to keep driving, and you won't want to sleep. Like Loren said, I don't want to sleep. I hate the fact that we have to sleep, because there's like,
Crazy.
let's go, right? We'll deal with that later. But I want to know, Loren, because we are running out almost out of time. I need to know what happens at 5 billion. Like, why does that number matter? Because I know it's not the money.
It's not
So
about the
when
money.
you,
It's
right. So when you
about,
hit that goal, what happens?
it's just about proving we can do it for me. It was a
Okay.
goal I wrote down 10 years ago. And, you know, I keep my goals in my wallet always to
Okay.
remind myself, you know, what I have to do each day, each week, each month, each year to get to them. And I think I do daily goals. And the reason why I do daily goals is because I think if I have an emergency that happens today, God forbid, I always say to myself, I can still get it done tomorrow.
Right.
And so I hold myself accountable to daily goals. And so it was something I wrote on my goal sheet, and I do dream boards still. People think I'm crazy. I still get a poster board out every year. I still cut out clippings from magazines, and I make a dream board every year. And my husband and I post it every year in the hallway, because we want to remind ourselves of the things that we're trying to achieve. And it's been the same one I've carried over for the last 10 years, which is to see the company hit 5 billion. I would have liked it to happen, you know, 3 years ago, but I'm still going to be around when it happens.
That's awesome. I love it. So it's just about really reaching and achieving. And I love how the one thing I really noticed about you, Loren, that's different. I've done a lot of interviews. The one thing that I know, and this isn't an interview, it's a conversation, but there's one thing that I know that's really different about you is you have what I call runway, which is something I intentionally am working on right now. Like, you understand that it takes time and space to create these things, and you're willing to go as long as it takes and do whatever it takes to get through it. I think a lot of times people, and I used to do this, will set a goal, and if we don't achieve it within a certain window, then it's like frustration, right? It's like give up, quit, those types of things. Whereas that just doesn't exist in you.
It's
It's
called,
I've
I
been
call it,
posting the
I
same
like,
thing for 10 years, and I'll keep posting it till I get it.
I like that you call it runway. I might change my term for it. I call it high tolerance. I have a really high tolerance. And I tell people, success isn't made for everybody. It's just not. Some people are okay. Listen, I've had a lot of people in my business who have a part of that, because we have 950 employees. part of our team, but there's 180,000, what we call them franchise owner sales team. And I tell them, some of them, they make $200,000 a year and they're content for the rest of their lives and they don't have any desire to want more. And I'm cool with that. That's up to them. To each his own. Everybody has their own, goal in their mind. They know what they want. For me, I have a high tolerance. And that tolerance, that high level of tolerance is not made for everyone. I can suck things up. I can take things all the way down to the bottom. I've been there. So I know what it's like, and I know that I know how to get back up. So I'll do whatever it takes to get where I need to go, even at this point. Like, there's some days you can ask my husband, I won't leave my house for 30 days till I'm done, till I'm finished. So I can say I'm going to launch, like when I'm getting ready to launch something, like for the last 30 days, I'm getting ready to launch a lot of initiatives at this event. And when I do, I don't leave my house for 30 days straight because I want to make sure I can play them out of my mind, go through any problems that they may have, experience what people may experience, make sure I take away, make it as easy as possible so people can understand it and they don't need a whole lot of education, because that's really important in e-commerce, that people are, things are easy for people to understand. And so I'll lock myself up for 30 days and I won't do or see anybody until it's done.
Wow, incredible. Loren, you're incredible. I'll tell you why I call it Runway, and then we'll wrap this up. I call it a runway because I learned to fly helicopters, Loren. I have a pilot's license when it comes to helicopters. It was something I always wanted, and so I went and did it. And the biggest difference, like a helicopter doesn't require a runway, right? We can just literally go straight up, right? We've got the rotor on the top, the helicopter's here,
You're
I can go
right.
straight up. I don't need any runway. But guess how many people I can take with me when I'm flying in my helicopter? 2,
4 or 5, I don't know.
4 at the max. If you're a baller, you got a big helicopter, you might be able to take 6 people with you at the most. Whereas with my life, I want to take millions of people with me. And that requires, like, if you look at a plane, big old plane that's going to China, you can pack like 700 people in that thing.
So you need
But
a
it
runway.
requires runway, right, to get off. And so that's why I call it Runway, taking the time to really create the space so that I don't want to just travel alone in my helicopter. I want to take a lot of people with me on my big jet plane. And I
I'm
think
with
you're
you.
the same way.
I'm with you. I love you. I love that whole concept. I
Yeah,
love that whole concept. We have a helicopter pad on top of this building. It's the only one in Miami. So when you come see me, you can land right above me.
Perfect. I love it. I love it. Actually, I am. Well, are you in a 30-day lockdown? If I come down to Miami, will you be able to
No,
break
I'll
out for a
sneak.
minute?
I'll sneak out just to see you.
Fair enough. Hey, Loren, I personally love you, and thank you so much for spending this time and sharing with us. Is there anything we can do to support you, connect with you? What's the best way to develop a relationship with you at this point?
No, DM me on Instagram, and I check all my messages myself because I love to communicate with people. But it's just always a pleasure to see you and be with you. And I always love when I get a text message from you because I know it's going to be bright and cheerful and happy. And you have that special connection about you that makes people. Well, you're a magnet. We love you, so you're awesome. And I was so glad I got to do this with you.
Thank you, Loren. You're awesome as well, and
And
that
I'll
wraps
come
up
back to your
today.
show and listen on all these now that you taught me all about.
Yes, you're gonna have to come back and watch and listen, and we're gonna be doing uh, uh, a Breakfast with Champions like in person for Apple TV. We're working on the pilot right now, where I would show up at your doorstep, knock on your door,
That's
meet your
so cool.
husband, meet your grandkids, do it like MTV Cribs style, and then
I
take
love
you out
that.
to breakfast. So we're working on that. So I'll be ringing you up on that one too.
I'll be here for you. I love you, hon.
Thank you, Lauren. Love you.
Thank you
Take
for
care.
having me.
Oh, it's been an honor. It's been an honor. Hope you guys enjoyed. That was Miss Loren Riddiger, co-founder, Shop.com. She is
Oh,
amazing. We will
I
be
love
back
you guys.
again next Friday. We'll be back again next